The government will meet with executives of the International Monetary Fund tomorrow to assess the country's fiscal management. And apart from looking at the country's financial situation, we understand that IMF officials will also take a closer look at the government's position with the Bahamas Telecommunications Company and its proposal to regain a majority share now held by London-based Cable and Wireless. ZNS will be following that meeting and bring you all the latest as it becomes available. The Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority closing its public consultation period on whether Cable Bahamas should get a 27% increase in its super basic Rev TV Prime package this past Friday. But even if the cable company is granted that increase in the coming weeks, IRCA is about to implement some new rules which will hold all local cable and telephone service providers to a higher quality standard. In fact, IRCA Director of Policy and Regulation Stephen Barreau telling ZNS News that the rules presently in place more or less give local cable and telephone companies immunity when it comes to providing quality service. But come November, IRCA will be consulting on a set of consumer and quality of service rules which are presently being formulated in order to beef up what is currently in place. And once public consultation is complete, IRCA will also hear from service providers about what they believe is reasonable. The regulator will also look at standards across the world and will ultimately use the feedback to develop a unique set of rules that are fair, progressive, and takes the country in the right direction. Well, the role of trade unions is to be the voice of workers. But while many unions are providing that service, some employers and others are not too pleased with the role they play and see union representation as more of an interference. Well, we talked to the Hotel Workers Union boss, Nicole Martin, about this, which she takes grave exception to.
When we come in as a recognized bargaining agent, there is already a structure. We make sense of what is happening, okay? The employer don't wake up one morning and say, I don't like you, you go home. We regulate the business. If the business is not profitable, it does not help the union. So it makes no sense for a union to work in contravention of a profit.
Now, Ms. Martin says she wants people to understand that trade unions act or are supposed to act as regulators.
But we exist because the workers need us. We exist because without us, just imagine if there are all these problems with labor. Imagine if there was the absence of another body for these employers to look to. For people who don't know nothing but unions, who just from the outside looking in, and who are not the benefactors of the union. They could say anything. But for the people that we represent, you talk to them, and they would tell you. Had it not been for the union, as a matter of fact, unions cause quite a number of things to happen in this country. Credit unions, pensions.
Ms. Martin says unions will only go away when there are absolute great employers. Well, thousands line the streets of the capital for the annual Baptist Parade today. The annual event is a crowd pleaser which showcases the many churches under the Baptist umbrella as members paraded in unity to celebrate all that God has done. The young and the old march from Town Center Mall to the R.M. Bailey Park. In its 54th year, the march is a climax of a month of activities on the Baptist calendar. We're told that more than 50 churches participated, as well as students from a number of schools. During the parade today, we caught up with leaders of the Baptist community, Reverend Dr. William Thompson and Reverend Dr. Anthony Carroll.
This is the largest one ever. The schools are in full force, as you can see, and the churches are in full force. We expect a marvelous parade today. A large group today. Last year the rain stopped us, so we have to make a statement today.
And it's a reminder of us that Baptists are united, and together we continue to impact this community, this Commonwealth, and the kingdom of Satan. We're determined to destroy everything that does not allow us to experience God's presence here.
Well, there are scores of pageants around, but you might not have heard about the Miss Junkanoo contest. Well, cultural officials say it's all a part of changing the face of Junkanoo. The Culture Ministry is sponsoring the event along with the Junkanoo Corporation and Junkanoo Committee. Assistant Culture Director Edison Dames says the pageant is not just for Junkanooers.
We are inviting Junkanoo groups to send forth their queen to represent their particular group. And we're also making a general call out to all of the Bahamian beauties out there who have a particular talent in Junkanoo, whether it's singing, dancing, beating the drum, shaking the cowbells, or whether they've just created a masterful piece of oratory work in relation to Junkanoo, to come on out and expose their talents.
Now, Dame says many prizes are up for grabs, and he's encouraging Bahamian beauties to sign up.
What we are hoping is that all applications will be into the ministry not later than another 2.5 weeks. And so certainly by the end of this month, we would have a lineup of those applicants who are qualified to enter the pageant.
Now, contestants should be between the ages of 18 and 25. A float parade ending at the National Stadium is set for December 14th, while the pageant will take place on December 23rd at the Rainforest Theater. Well, this concludes this segment of the news. Don't go away. Julian Gibson is up next with sports.